Hello, everyone. Welcome to our TD Sports Press podcast, our second episode on YouTube. Our first episode did really well, and we're looking back into week 6. And this week's podcast, we'll be talking about 5 coaches who I think that might be on the hot seat. We've had a lot of movement in college football. We'll be talking about that. And then we also got 5 to 6 more game previews that we'll be going over today. So thanks for everyone coming on to the TD Sports Press podcast. Second episode ever in existence on YouTube. So going into it, man, I cannot wait for this week. I talked about a little bit about this Tuesday, but there's a lot of underrated games, I would say, in terms of there's a lot of potential and that might go into the conference races. So I'm excited to see what some teams do. Like I said, this TD Sports Press podcast, I am Trace and Dayton with our second episode. So how we're gonna lead off the show today. We are gonna start with our hot seat list. So I'm gonna give you 5 coaches who I think are on the hot seat, and we are gonna start at number 5, no other than Lincoln Riley, the USC head coach. And some of you guys might be rolling your eyes, shaking your heads like, why in the world is Lincoln Riley on the hot seat? Let's go over it. Last year, Lincoln Riley did not do what they were supposed to. With Caleb Williams, his whole tenure at USC, they haven't even made they made the Pac-12 championship one time. I think that's the best they've done. And yes, Lincoln Riley, they have a great recruiting class. That's the one thing. That's why I don't have him higher on this list. Is Lincoln Riley he's really struggling at USC right now. I understand they just got beat by Illinois. I think their record's like 2-1, 3-1. Sorry if I don't have it exactly right. So they're starting off good this year, but what is it going to be like when they play someone that's good? That's what the real question is going to be. And USC, are they growing restless with Lincoln Riley? I don't know. Like I said, this is just all speculation, and I mean, he's going 6-7 last year. At USC, he's 30-15, but the last couple to 2 to 3 years haven't been what they were supposed to, especially in the new Big Ten as well. So that's a name that I'm really keeping my eye on, is Lincoln Riley at number 5. I would say on the hot seat scale from cold, warm to hot, and to scorching hot, I would say it's warm, like a good seat warmer, on a cold, Midwest morning that's like 15 degrees. That's what I would say. It's warm. It's warm. I wouldn't say it's hot yet. I would say it's definitely increasing warm. Just the only thing that's keeping Lincoln Riley where he is his recruiting class that he's bringing in. They bring in great recruiting classes. They just need to put it all together. And his buyout would be insane. That's also another thing with some of these coaches. So going on to another coach at number 4, we have David Braun, the Northwestern head coach. The reason why I put this on here, I understand he is a new coach, but Northwestern just hasn't been doing what they've been doing since they fired their good coach for all the scandals that were going on. That was crazy. If you guys remember the Northwestern scandals from 2 to 3 years ago, but Northwestern, they haven't really lived up to par. I mean, they did win last week against USC. But, I mean, they got beat by Tulane, a group of 5 school. He's a little bit newer head coach, so I think that's what might save him. But I don't know if that's going to be enough to keep his job. That's a job that I'll be interested to see what happens as we go on. And as we talk about this, I would say the difference between Lincoln Riley and this is if the USC head coaching vacancy comes up, there's going to be a lot of coaches that go into, good coaches. How many coaches want to put their coaching reputation on the line to go coach at Northwestern? Like you think about the NIL, they don't really have a lot of NIL. So that could be, a thing with Northwestern. Can they get a head coach if they fire this head coach? That's something that might go along. And I would say he's on the warm seat. He's not quite on the hot seat. He's on the warm seat on a cold winter day. How about that? Yeah, we'll go with that. So, and then number 3, I have Hugh Freeze, and I think a lot of people would have expected for Hugh Freeze to be on here. They're coming off 2 back-to-back losses. They're 2-2. They got that win against Baylor at the beginning of the year, but I'm just not sure that gets it done for Hugh Freeze. I think Hugh Freeze, they need to go 8-4. Jackson Arnold might not be the quarterback. They put a lot of things into that quarterback. I just don't know if he's the face for the job, so to say. So that's something I'm also monitoring as well. Hugh Freeze, he had a great tenure at Ole Miss and he got in scandals. Who has in the SEC? But I don't know if this is going to be his year. Like, is Auburn going to give Hugh Freeze another year to turn the ship around? I just have a hard time seeing it, especially after all the resources they put into getting Jackson Arnold from Oklahoma last year. It's just, I would say it's hard to see, but we'll definitely see. That's a situation. I would say that Hugh Freeze is on the hot seat. I would say that it's getting warmed up. He's sweating a little bit, is what I would say. And I think a lot of people would agree with me that unless Auburn turns their season around and goes 10-2 and wins the rest of the games on their schedule, I'm just not sure if that happens. But that's where I have him at. I wouldn't be surprised if some things change, but that's right where I kind of have him at yet. So I have Hugh Freeze at number 3. At number 2, I have Luke Fickell, the Wisconsin head coach. Some of you guys might have forgotten that he was a Cincinnati head coach 3 years ago. I think it was 2022 when they went to the playoffs. A great coach at Cincinnati. I think there was a lot of people that thought Wisconsin really won the cycle. And since then, went 5-7 this year. It's not looking good, especially losing to Maryland by a couple touchdowns. The seat for Luke Fickell, I feel bad for him. I don't think that's a good situation at Wisconsin. I'm not sure what to make of Wisconsin, but I don't think Luke Fickell at the helm is going to be something that we see as we go on. So I'm going to say that Luke Fickell's seat is scorching hot. Like, let's talk about the Michigan game. We're not going to talk about that game later. Like, if they go out and get beat like 40-7 to Michigan, I think Luke Fickell's gone. I really do believe that Wisconsin will make a change in the middle of the year. And I know that sounds crazy to say. I don't see how much longer Luke Fickell can keep his job, especially after the performance they did against Maryland. That's something they have to keep in mind. So it might be hard for Luke Fickell to keep his job right now. Like, I feel like he's coaching on a week-to-week basis. And with that being said, he's scorching hot. I mean, it is hot. He's in lava right now. The lava is like, just the seat's like almost gone because of all the lava on it. Like, it's just going everywhere. That's what I'm gonna say with Luke Fickell. He's on the really hot seat. At number 1 is Billy Napier. I think a lot of people would agree with me with Billy Napier at number 1 for obvious reasons. You look at the hype that Florida had coming into the year. Like, people had them making the college football playoffs. People had them winning the national championship. Not a lot of people had it. Some people had them winning the national championship, and that's absolutely crazy. But you look at Florida and what they've put on the field as a product so far. They didn't look good against Miami, didn't look good against LSU, and they didn't look good against USF. So they are like 1-3 probably, in my opinion. Or maybe they have 2 wins. Maybe they're 2-3, 1-3, something like that. But coming off a bye week, this is a huge week against Texas. I mean, if Texas comes in and puts up 30 and wins like 30-7, Billy Napier might be gone on Sunday morning. He would deserve every bit that's coming to him. People thought last year at this time Billy Napier was lose his job, and they went out and they went. I think it was like 6-6, maybe 7-5. So we'll see if Billy Napier can coach his way into keeping his job again this year. I'm not sure that's going to happen, but if that Florida job, comes open, I think everyone and their dog will be flocking to be the next Florida head coach. They got a lot of resources down there. Their NIL is great. Their fans are great. The Swamp is one of the top venues in college football, in my opinion, if not number 1 when they are the best team. So, that's my top 5 coaches. I thought this would be fun to do. We're in the middle of the college football year season. There's probably, fans watching the podcast here that totally agree with this list, and maybe they don't, and that's okay. Maybe there's a couple of names that I missed. Those were the top 5 names when I put pen to paper that I was like, oh, they might be coaching for their jobs. So we'll definitely see as the year goes on. Like I said, Billy Napier, he's scorching hot. I mean, yeah, it's terrible for Billy Napier. He's on a week-to-week basis. I think Luke Fickell is on a week-to-week basis. We have Lincoln Riley. He's warm. Hugh Freeze is on the hot seat, and David Bruin, the Northwestern coach, is on the hot seat. I would say that's my top 5 coaches. Obviously, there's already 4 spots that don't have head coaches. Oklahoma State's looking for a new leader. Virginia Tech's looking for a new leader. UCLA's looking for a new leader. Those are 3 that are definitely looking. In Arkansas, well, they have Bobby Petrino. Don't even get me started on Bobby Petrino. How is Bobby Petrino coaching college football again is beyond me. Especially at Arkansas. Like I said in our TikTok lives, just go look up Billy Napier not Billy Napier, Bobby Paterno on something. And with that being said, that leads us back into our that's how we're going to lead off the show. And with that being said, if you guys are already here, you guys might as well leave a sub here. It would be really great if you guys could subscribe to the channel, like our TikToks, leave a follow on TikTok, follow us on X. All those good things, everything is on our little ticker right here. Like I said, if you're listening on the podcast, you might want to go to the YouTube channel. We got some cool graphics going on. It's a one-man show. I'm running everything right now. Maybe we get to the point where we get a producer, but I'm running everything that you guys see on the screen currently, and I'm about half scared to death that it's all working right now. But like I said, it doesn't do anything for you to leave a follow. You're not signed up for anything, but it does stuff for us. It puts us in a budget to keep our quality or our content really high quality, which is really high quality. It does take a while to get everything set up, but it's going to get better as we go on. So with that being said, if that could happen. And also, we would love the TD's, Sports Press, presented by a company. So if you're part of a company, we would love to have a sponsor. I do have a bucked up hat on. I do have a bucked up, shirt on as well. Maybe we have a sponsorship in the future. I don't know. This might be my trial run. I'm just kidding. That'd be awesome. But if there are people that are in that, go ahead, leave me a DM, message, all those good things. So let's get back, okay, so that we're back from our little advertising to keep the lights on here at the TD Sports Press apartment. We don't even have a studio. Moving on. We're going to move on to our games. Like I said, we did 4 games. If I remember right, on Tuesday, we're going to do the next half on it. And like I've been saying, we are 42-14 in picks this year so far. And I feel like that's a really good number so far. And we're going to see if we can get to 50 this weekend. So we got, I think, 6 games for you. So you're going to get 10 games on the podcast this week. I think that's really good compared to some of our competitor podcasts. But moving on, our first game we're going to talk about, we have to talk about this one. We have number 6, Texas A&M, coming in 4-0. We have Mississippi State coming, and we look at both programs. Mississippi State's coming off a loss to Tennessee. They did beat Arizona State a couple weeks ago, so they were ranked, and now they're not ranked. Or maybe they were never ranked. Maybe they weren't. But Mississippi State, this is a huge game for them. To be honest about Mississippi State, if they go 6-6 this year, that's a win. Their schedule is daunting. They have a lot of crazy games. And then we start talking about Texas A&M. I've been saying Texas A&M has been a dark horse team for me in the SEC since July. And Marcel Reed might be playing himself into the Heisman conversation. I don't know if we're ready for that quite yet. Texas A&M has done a great job in the transfer portal. That's another thing that you got to give, Texas A&M props for what they've been doing in the transfer portal. It's been nothing less than perfection in the transfer portal. So Texas A&M is playing for everything right in front of them. Mississippi State is as well. They get this one. Watch out. Maybe they get on a roll because we'll never know. They should have beat Tennessee last week, in my opinion. So, as like I said, we have Texas A&M as a 11.5 point favorite. I think Texas A&M wins this game. I feel pretty confident with Marcel Reed. I feel like this is not a letdown spot for him. They played Auburn last week. They were okay. They were coming off a bye week after they beat Notre Dame, so they were kind of on that post high, I would say. I think Texas A&M knows what their goals are this year. They were a game away from playing the SEC championship last year. If you guys didn't know that, if they would have beat Texas last year, they would have gone to the SEC championship. So I think that Texas A&M knows where they want to be. I think Mike Elko is doing a great job at Texas A&M. And I think this is another building stone for the program. I'm excited to see what that passing game looks like. They can run the football. But when you look at these two teams right here, whoever wins the trenches is going to win this game. Whoever's run game can get started is going to win this game. So I'm going to say that Texas A&M wins this. I trust them a little bit more than Mississippi State. But Mississippi State might be the feel-good story of the year so far. Especially, and maybe that's too early on to say that right now. They just might be, in my opinion. So we'll definitely end up what they, kind of look at. But with that being said, I think I have Texas A&M winning this game. I'm not sure about the 11.5 points. That's a lot of points they're giving up. But like I said, I only pick winners here. I don't do spreads or anything like that. So give me Texas A&M to win this game. I think this game will be closer. This might be a game of the weekend. So I might be saying that a lot, but I really do mean it when I say stuff like that. So let's go on to our next game. Our next game, we had to talk about this game at some point. We have number 3 Miami coming in at 4-0, and we have number 18 Florida State coming in at 3-1. How did both teams get here? Miami is 4-0. They've absolutely hit the portal with Carson Beck. He is playing amazing at Miami right now. He did have a couple turnovers in the last couple weeks. I think he's going to keep that down. He has been doing really well. And then we got Florida State. Deuce Robinson has been carrying Florida State for a while. He's their number 1 receiver. And he also did cost him the Virginia game. If you watch that game, he dropped a wide open touchdown. He caught it, but he didn't finish the process of a catch, so to say. So how do I see this game going down? This game is going to be awesome. I think we're going to find some stuff out about Florida State. We're going to see what kind of, culture they have at Florida State. Are they going to come back with vengeance? Like, is this going to be that, like Alabama loss, how they came back and beat Georgia? Is Florida State going to do the same thing, losing in Virginia than beating Miami? I don't know. This game is going to come down to the trenches. And if you guys don't know, Miami has one of the top offensive lines in the whole country. They have been doing a great job. They did a great job against Notre Dame's front, Florida's front. They've been handling those guys up front. So with that being said, I think Miami wins this game. I trust Miami to win this game. They have more experience. They know what their goal is. Mario Cristobal, he needs to get the job done. Miami has a team that can compete in the ACC. And not only that, maybe they make a run in the college football playoff, depending on matchups. But this is a really solid football program in Miami, and I think they're going to get Florida State's best shot. In terms of Florida State's got everything to this week. Like, they can't pick up a second loss here. It might get a little bit iffy, especially for the college football playoffs if that happens. But I think Miami wins this game. I think this game had a lot. I think this game is still going to give a lot of fireworks. Maybe it doesn't have the juice it did last week. I still think it does because both programs are good, and we haven't been saying that about both of them. Usually it's just one or the other. But this year it is both programs right now. So I'm really excited to see what Florida State comes back. Maybe they, with their, tail between their legs, like they're going to give that kind of performance. Or is that Virginia game? Was that a learning spot for Florida State to see where they're at? I don't know. We're going to see. But like I said, I like Miami to win this game. I think it's going to be a very fun game. So that's two picks so far down. Both games I think are going to be awesome. I'm excited to watch both those games. They're going to mean a lot down the line, in my opinion. So. All right, let's move on to our next one. I don't think a lot of people are talking about this game. We're going to talk about Illinois and Purdue. This game might not be on a lot of people's radars. It's on mine. We're going to see what kind of, what is Illinois going to do after a huge win against USC. We have number 22 Illinois. They're coming in at 4-1, and we have Purdue coming in at 2-2. I think this is a better Purdue team than it was last year. We'll see. Ryan Odom, the UNLV coach, is coming over, and he had 80-plus transfers. And we're going to see what Purdue can do against an Illinois team. I'm excited to see how they respond to a big win like they just had. Like what is in front of Illinois? Are they going to come in kind of dead in this game in terms of, no juice, no energy, just trying to go through the motions? Or are they just going to take control from the start and go to the end? That is what I'm excited to see with this game. I think Illinois is going to win this game. I just found this game very interesting for the sole reason I want to see what they do against the Purdue team. And Purdue is coming in at 2-2. They kind of played with USC for a little bit. I know some people might think I'm crazy for saying that. They played with them. So I'm excited to see what Purdue. I think they're getting better every week. Like I said, especially when you have 80+ transfers coming into the program. That's like top 5 if I remember right in the NCAA. So I'm excited to see what Purdue can put on the table. So that's going to be very interesting, this game. Wouldn't be surprised if Purdue pulls it out. I think that Illinois is going to win this game. I believe in what they're doing. They want to make the college football playoffs, and this is just a game that you just need to go out and dominate, and we're going to see if that happens. So give me Illinois to win this game. Might be interesting down the stretch. We will definitely see. Going on, we have, speaking of this game, we have Louisville, who is 4-0, going to play number 24 Virginia in the AP poll. Obviously, Virginia's not ranked in our poll. I know that's caused some controversy in the comment section. They are not ranked in our poll. I understand, but let's talk about this game. I actually have Louisville at 25 instead of Virginia. But this is a huge game for Louisville and for Virginia. I think Virginia has the opportunity to go prove people like me wrong that they are a good football team. And Louisville, I've been high on Louisville since July as well. I said they were one of my dark horses in the league. I'm excited to see what Louisville can do against a Virginia team that's a little bit scrappy. I love the way they put against Florida State. For every time that Florida State threw a punch, they threw a punch that was 3 times harder. And that's a great venue at Virginia. It was a great win for Virginia last week. So how do I see this game going down? The more I look at this, I think Louisville's going to pull this out. I think Louisville, they kind of struggled with Pitt last week. I am having a hard time grading the ACC as a whole. I'm not sure who's all great, who's good, and who's bad so far. This is going to help us figure out the tiers in the ACC, I would definitely say. So, this game is definitely going to go a long way. I think Louisville wins this game. I have a hard time believing Louisville is not going to win this game. I feel like this is a coming out party for Louisville in the ACC and kind of puts them in that top tier. I think they are in the top tier, but this kind of solidifies them being in that top tier. So this is going to be a very interesting game. I think Louisville's going to win it, though. I love the way that Louisville, what they do with their offense and defensive line, what their different movements they have as well. They have a veteran slash, kind of newish quarterback. So Louisville's got everything in front of them. So I really like them to win this game. And that leads to our last game, and like I said, the Big 12 is my favorite conference. I couldn't wait to talk about this game. We got Houston that's 4-0. They did struggle against Oregon State last week. I will give them that. It took 2 overtimes to beat Oregon State. And we have number 11 Texas Tech coming in at 4-0. This game is going to be a lot closer. I don't think I've seen anyone talk about this game. This game is very interesting. We got a Houston team, that they haven't played the greatest competition. Sometimes they play down their competition, but you look at what they did against Colorado and the way they ran the football against Colorado, that's very interesting. And then you got Texas Tech, and they have one of the best transfer portal classes in the nation, and they're showing up. Like you look at what they did against Utah. So this is how do I see this game going on? I think Texas Tech wins this game. 10.5 points again. That's a lot. There's a lot of double-digit points in here. That I'm not sure about it, but I think that we were talking about them earlier. I think Houston wins this game. Not Houston. I think Texas Tech wins that game. Part of me. I think Texas Tech is a really good football program. Just the way the physicality they bring. I think out of Texas Tech and Houston, I think Texas Tech wins this game. I think that they're going to dominate up front. Like that Texas Tech defensive line is a bunch of studs up there. A lot of transfers they brought in, and that defense is so good. And it doesn't matter who plays quarterback in Texas Tech. They can play their starter. They can play their backup. Both quarterbacks might be better than the Houston quarterback, and that's taking no shots at that guy. But Texas Tech has a really good squad, and I feel like this is another game to take, a step in the right direction to where they want to be. I picked Texas Tech to win the Big 12 back in July, and I couldn't be more confident that they're going to win the Big 12. Just by the way they've been looking so far, they have some, big games coming up at the end of the year. I'm excited to see what they do against BYU in a couple weeks. Maybe that's a little, further down the line. But I really do like Texas Tech to make another step and kind of put their, take control of the Big 12, I would say. Probably puts them in that prime number 1 spot right now. But like I said, the Big 12 is a circus. Like, there's going to be teams that we have no clue that are just going to end up being good. I mean, Cincinnati, we talked about them on Tuesday. They might just come out of the blue and go to the Big 12 championship like Arizona State did last year. I'm not predicting that. Wouldn't be surprised if that happens. But with that being said, that's our full show today for the TD Sports Press podcast. Another great show. And we got college football tonight going on right now, Friday, Saturday. And we got our Hot Take Sunday, an Overreaction Sunday. That show is going to be awesome. That would be another late start at 7 p.m. So we'll be going over all the results. But like I said, guys, if you guys are new to TD Sports Press TD Sports Press, and you guys like this content, it would mean a lot if you guys subscribe on YouTube, leave a follow on TikTok. We post 2 shorts a day on YouTube right now and 2 videos a day on TikTok. So we're pumping out content, and we appreciate everyone that watched this YouTube. We're going to keep posting these. It's been awesome. And like I said, my name is Trayson Dayton with TD Sports Press, and we will talk to you guys on Sunday.